So I keep my medication in a plant pot, and I'm sure you can relate if you have ADHD or autism, or maybe both. It looks like this, and this video is about why that works. Let me show you the morning routine of a neurodivergent dietitian. So this is my morning routine, or one version of it, on a day when things are going okay. And it starts with coffee. There's nothing remarkable about this, it's just coffee. But everything I'm about to show you in this video lives somewhere in this sequence. The systems that actually work for me. The things I stopped fighting and just arranged around how my brain works. I'm a dietitian. I was a late diagnosed autistic with ADHD. And for a long time, those two things felt like they were in a constant conflict. Because I knew exactly what I was supposed to do, and I still couldn't make it stick. Let's talk about why. So, here's the thing. Eating actually requires executive function. Like, genuinely. You have to notice that you're hungry. You have to figure out what you want. You have to actually get or make it. And eventually eat it. That's 4 steps before a single meal. And any of these can derail the whole process. And it can break down in so many different ways. Maybe your hunger just doesn't show up, or shows up 2 hours late. Maybe you open the fridge and immediately freeze because there are too many options. Maybe you had a routine that was kind of working, and then one thing changed and it all fell apart. Or there are foods you know you should be eating, but the texture, the smell, or just the look of them is a hard no. I really want to name this because it gets misread so often. Executive dysfunction is not laziness. It's not that you don't care. It's the gap between knowing exactly what you should do and still not being able to start. And most nutrition advice completely ignores that gap. Like, knowing is assumed to be enough, but it's not. So, instead of trying harder, I started to simplify things. Which brings me to the plant pot. And this is where I keep all my necessary pills. It's not its original purpose, but it works for me, and that's what matters. I have a bigger medicine cabinet, but that is kinda hard to reach now. I needed a solution where I can keep everything within hand reach and actually see it, so I don't forget it exists. So for a brain that runs on visual working memory, and a lot of ADHD and autistic brains do, visibility is literally functional. If you can see something, it exists. If you can't see it, it's gone. Not might forget about it, just completely gone. Now let's talk about habit stacking, which means attaching a new behavior to an existing one. Because for me, just putting it somewhere visible wasn't enough. What made it work was placing it next to the coffee machine, something I do every single morning without thinking. I make coffee, the pot is right there, and I take them. It requires no decision and no reminder at all. And it doesn't have to look conventional. A plant pot is not a pill organizer, and a shoe cabinet is definitely not a pantry. And honestly, that's fine. So the goal is not the right system, it's the one my brain can actually use, and it can be different. Okay, so the pantry. This is what a kind of solved looks like in real life. Bottom shelf, there are 3 big storage boxes, all labeled by category. I know one is baking stuff, one is coffee and tea, and one is dry goods. Better than nothing, but they are not transparent, so I can't see inside. I know the category, but do I know exactly what's in there and how much? No. And what the brain can see, it doesn't count. The middle shelf is the honest one. Everything just a kind of throw-in. On the top shelf, this one I love. Tall, clear containers. One look and I know exactly what I have and how much. without moving anything. It requires zero effort. That's exactly how much you take. If you can only change one shelf, start with the one you cook from most. And then the shoe cabinet in the kitchen. Yes, the top section has all the clear containers we use regularly. Not in a high cupboard, not beautifully organized on an open shelf. Arm's reach. Is it messy? Yes. Does it get used every week? Also yes. And the bottom section is my favorite. The snacks, emergency snacks. For that moment when you open the fridge, stare into it for 30 seconds and nothing in there is something you can face right now. And if there's nothing accessible when that happens, a lot of the time you just basically don't eat, which makes everything worse. You can see this play out across the whole kitchen. The label boxes, I know the category, but not what's actually in there, so I still lose track. But a few clear containers, one look and I know everything. No effort at all. Now that's the difference. Every time you have to open something, move something, or remember what's behind it, that's a small cost to your executive function. And those costs add up across a day. They really do. The goal isn't a beautiful kitchen. It's one that asks as little of you as possible, so you have more left for everything else. You don't need to reorganize everything. Just look at your kitchen and ask, which part has my brain quietly stopped seeing? Is there a shelf that's basically invisible to me right now? Could one thing move somewhere more visible, closer to something I already do every day? Just one. Start there. Well, the plant pot was designed for plants. The shoe cabinet was designed for shoes. Neither of them are doing what they were made for. And yet, both of them are working perfectly because they work for my brain, and that's the only thing that matters. This is not about having a Pinterest kitchen, but having one your brain can actually read. Fewer steps between you and the things you need. An environment that works with how you actually process the world, not one designed for a brain that never forgets anything just because it's behind the door. If this resonated, I would really love to know what your version of the plant pot is, or what's living in the back of your pantry that your brain has quietly decided doesn't exist anymore. Also, what kind of struggles do you have with ADHD or autism? And eating, what makes it harder for you? Let me know, have a conversation. Until the next one, bye.